Hi there and welcome. I'm just going to actually go through the second part of the Northern Ireland history course. We're going to look at this guy Terence O'Neill, Prime Minister of Northern Ireland, a key figure in the Troubles, a unionist, but also someone who was looking to make reforms, and his push for reforms really did begin to undermine the Northern Ireland state. So we're going to investigate him to see who he was and how his leadership weakened in Northern Ireland from this stage. Okay, so who is he? So he actually became Prime Minister in 1963. Remember, Northern Ireland, quite a new state by that stage, way back to the 1920s, and he follows on from a series of very patrician unionist prime ministers. Okay, so he becomes the new unionist Prime Minister of Northern Ireland at the time, and he wanted to modernise Northern Ireland in two ways: politically and economically. You have to know this; these two separate strands, okay? And that word there is really key. Modernise. He realises that Northern Ireland, as it stands at that point, is stands at a crossroads itself. It could either go forward or could go backwards. It was highly reliant on big, older industries, but those industries were completely changing. Okay, so he wants to modernise. How did he do it? Well, he wanted to change the face of Ulster. That's what he actually says himself. He wants to change the face of Ulster at the time, and he tries to do this through creating links with the Republic of Ireland. He meets the Irish Prime Minister, Sean Lemass, at Stormont. What's the big deal, you might think, after lots of meetings nowadays between North and South? Well, back then this wasn't the case. This would have been the first meeting between North and South, sharing the same island, the first meeting in over 40 years. So that's a big step forward. The second thing he wanted to do was reach out to Northern nationalists, to Catholics in Northern Ireland, who felt very alienated, as we saw in the last video. So he starts off with small, simple changes. He actually visits Catholic schools, Catholic hospitals, and he promises them change. Okay, so these are signs that he's definitely aimed to modernise Northern Ireland. All right, so to understand the Troubles, it's really important you have to understand Terence O'Neill himself. So he becomes Prime Minister, as I've said, in 1963, and he is leader of the official Unionist Party, the OUP. You have to get this name in your head, okay? The official Unionist Party, OUP. Why do you have to get it in your head? Well, it is the main Unionist Party. There's no UUP, no DUP, no any other Unionist parties back then. This is the sole Unionist party in Northern Ireland, and by that stage, that means it's a huge, domineering party, far bigger than anyone else. So, very important. Okay, so O'Neill promised Northern Ireland big changes for everyone. However, he was weakened from the very beginning because of a number of important reasons, which you have to know as well too. Okay, these are his difficulties. So, first of all, O'Neill was actually chosen to be Prime Minister and leader of the party. He was not elected by the membership. He was chosen by sort of, how do you put it, very well-to-do people at the very top, very senior leaders, and he was chosen by them. If it was up to the party would not have actually chosen O'Neill. They probably would have chosen this man here at the bottom, Brian Faulkner. Okay, Brian Faulkner, much more grassroots, as you might say, much more popular of the party faithful as well too. So O'Neill probably wouldn't have been that personally popular. However, he was chosen by the top senior leaders in the party. The second reason was that O'Neill's background actually counted against him. Now the name O'Neill, very, very old Ulster name, goes way, way, way back in history. So very recognisable name. Okay, but although he was an Ulsterman, he had a very strong English background, okay, which counted against him. Okay, so he would have had a very strong English accent, and he was regarded as a member of the aristocracy. That means he's very rich. He has lots of lands around Northern Ireland, so very rich background as well too. And he wasn't personally popular with many unionists on the grassroots, as I would say as well too. Okay, so those are two key reasons. He wasn't chosen. He was chosen, not elected, and he was from a wealthy background. The third reason is he would be what you would call a liberal reformer. Okay, so a liberal reformer. So although he is from this background here, okay, he's eaten, educated over in England, he really does want change in Northern Ireland. Okay, he wants change far more than a lot of other unionists. He wants to modernise the state. He recognises that it's backward in a lot of ways, and he wants to actually create strong relationships with the Republic of Ireland and with Northern nationalists. He thought it was the only way to make Northern Ireland peaceful, modern, and prosperous. Many unionists by that stage then did not really want change, and a lot of them didn't trust O'Neill as well. Okay, so these are the three key reasons: chosen, not elected, wealthy background, and liberal reformer. Okay, so keep that in your head. Right, okay, so why does he actually want better relations with the Republic of Ireland? Well, there are a number of reasons for this. He wants economic links, okay, so he wants to get economic benefits from this relationship. That means better electric supply, better coordination over tourism, over trade, and over transport. These are things that nowadays is kind of quite a key part of life in Northern Ireland now, these areas of coordination across the island. He also realises that to have links to the Republic means better relations with Northern nationalists. You're talking about 35% of the population of Northern Ireland. He wants them to feel more at home in the Northern Ireland state. Okay, and perhaps if he did this, they would support him and they wouldn't want to unite Ireland. He also wants to share resources. There's things that they could definitely share between the two states that would make a lot more sense. Okay, so these are his economic reforms. Okay, so he introduces a number of well-publicised reforms aimed at improving and modernising the economy of Northern Ireland, which have been very badly affected by the decline of big industries. I'm sure you could guess what these two are. Harland and Wolff, Belfast shipbuilding. It was the biggest shipyard in the world back at the start of the 20th century, but it went into a lot of decline after World War II. The other industry is linen. Belfast is known as Linenopolis. Huge amounts of linen produced there and made a lot of value to the city. He felt that Northern Ireland would be better supported by nationalists as well if they were also better off economically. And this is what he aims to do then. Okay, so he sets up a Ministry of Development. Its aim is to plan and encourage economic growth. Northern Ireland is split up into 5 different economic zones, and the aim of that was to attract foreign investment to those zones. A huge amount of investment. I mean, we're talking way back in the 60s, and he's going to inject £900 million into the Northern Ireland economy to help it grow. So that's a huge amount of money, 900 million. Now be careful to get this figure right. So 900 million pounds. It's not 90 or 9. It's 900 million. It's a huge amount. Okay. He also has a deal with the Irish Trade Union Congress. Now, why is this important? Well, trade unions tend to, go on strike if they don't get like wage agreements, things like that, and it can harm the economy if your big industries are on strike. So he makes a deal with this here trade union. What's important about it is it's actually based in Dublin, so it's quite a big thing for a unionist Prime Minister to be reaching out and making deals with Dublin. Transport links. This is a major part of the improvements. He aims to have Northern Ireland's, or Ireland's, I should say, Ireland's first motorway built, and this actually did happen. M1 and M2 are built. Railways are invested in to a certain degree, and there's a new airport built at Aldergrove up in County Antrim. Okay, and then you have a new university built. Okay, so obviously you have Queen's University in Belfast. Well, they want to open up university to a lot more people as well too. That makes more economic sense. Where this is to be built is very controversial. So it's to be built in Coleraine. We'll look at that in a bit later on. Okay, so Coleraine is where it's to be built. And he also wants to introduce a new city. Okay, so he wants to, in England there's a big craze for building new towns, and he wants to build a new city in Northern Ireland to try to take away from all the overcrowding in cities like Belfast and Derry, London, Derry. So this new city is to be built in Armagh, and it was to be called Craigavon. Again, quite a controversial name. Okay, and finally he introduces the Economic Council. Now, who's he put in charge of this? One of his rivals, Brian Faulkner, is put in charge of this. Now, there's a reason he is put in charge of this. He actually is from a business background, and very well respected business background, so he's put in charge of this Economic Council to bring economic improvement. So those are your key reasons. You have to know all these different reasons here, okay, to get the top marks in the economic question like that, but it should be quite easy if you get all that down in a mind map or in your cards. Right, okay, so successes. Did he have successes? He certainly did have a number of economic successes. First of all, yes, companies came in from all over the world and invested money in Northern Ireland, and a lot of those until recently were actually still there. So you had ICI, that's Dulux Paints, things like that. You had Grundy Electricals. You had the Michelin factory invested in Ballymena. It's only just closed down recently. These are all big investments in Northern Ireland. You also had DuPont opening in Derry Londonderry, and it's still there today. Okay. You also had the success in transport links. Northern Ireland did have its first motorway in the island of Ireland, and they were built to link various parts of Northern Ireland to make it easy to get around. Okay. The third one was there was an airport built up at Aldergrove in County Antrim, and became a very busy airport as well too. And fourthly, you actually had an oil refinery built at Belfast Harbour. This makes Northern Ireland much more secure in terms of its fuel. You had as well electrical links with the Republic of Ireland established as part of the deal. And very, very importantly, did it reduce unemployment? It certainly did. 35,000 people were actually employed due to all these new industries by the early 1960s. That's a large amount of people. So employment was definitely went up, and Northern Ireland seemed to be a lot more prosperous as well too. However, what you have to make sure is that you know that there are remaining weaknesses economically as well too. Okay, so where are these weaknesses? Well, the first one is that the older industries were in terminal decline. They were going down and down and down from foreign competition. Okay, so shipbuilding that went across the world to other places that could build ships faster and quicker, faster, quicker and cheaper. Linen as well was replaced by new textiles like nylon. The shipyard itself, if you think about where the shipyard is, it's in East Belfast, very Protestant, very unionist, and they had to keep pumping money into it. It was making a loss, but they pumped up to £1 million a year to keep it going. The money, where did the money go? Well, the money actually all went to this eastern area of Northern Ireland. Not all of it, but a large amount of it went to these areas of Northern Ireland where people invested. Now, there is a reason for this. This is the most populous part of Northern Ireland, so most of the population live here, especially in the big Lisburn, Belfast area down here. It's also close to the ports, so you've got the airport up here, Antrim. You've got the ports of Larne over here, and you've obviously got Belfast here as well too, and Warrenpoint down here. So it's closer to your big export markets as well too. But one big thing here politically is that these counties here are also the most Protestant counties, while out here in the west, these are the most Catholic counties, and this part here has quite high levels of unemployment. Derry, especially Derry Londonderry up here as well, is bereft of a lot of investment too, so it still has high levels of unemployment, and it appears to be that the unionists are keeping the employment down here. Now, whether that's the case or whether it's economically just the way it is another story. Okay, so this is the River Bann that runs through Northern Ireland, down here, down the middle, and this west of the Bann is more Catholic, and that's what they say. This part here more Catholic and a lot more unemployment. Okay, alright, so the next big thing is the University of Ulster. This is definitely a massive amount of investment, but where it was chosen was a big political issue. Instead of the second biggest city in Northern Ireland, which is Derry Londonderry, they chose the site of Coleraine, a small Protestant town. Okay, and it was chosen here instead of Derry Londonderry, and that became a big issue for Catholics, especially Catholics. I should say Catholics and Protestants in the city. They all of them agreed that this was a poor decision on their behalf. Okay, the motorway, even the motorway you can see here as well too. The links actually are very unionist centred, so you've got the motorway running up here towards Derry but not reaching there. It finishes up here. You've got it up near Ballymena, which is quite a Protestant town, and you have it running all the way down here across to the west, okay, of Northern Ireland, and stopping very clearly at Dungannon. It doesn't go down to the biggest city in Ireland, which is down here in Dublin, so it goes all the way out here. So quite a unionist argument here in where these motorways are going. Okay. The other weakness is that unemployment, although it was relatively good, it remains stubbornly high at 78% and much higher in the west of Northern Ireland as well too, which had big areas of deprivation and poverty, including up at Strabane and Derry. Up to 20,000 jobs were lost in the old traditional industry, so while 35,000 were employed, 20,000 were lost. Alright, so that's economics. Political solutions then were the next part of his dual strands to improve Northern Ireland. So we're going to look at what his political goals were, how he tried to build relationships with the Republic of Ireland, and how he tried to build relationships with Northern nationalists. So O'Neill knew that if economic transformation in Northern Ireland would come about, it had to be accompanied as well by political transformation. You had to have these two hand in hand. He therefore embarked on a very politically risky but necessary process of trying to do two things. Firstly, to start a relationship and a friendship with Northern Ireland's closest next door neighbour, the Republic of Ireland, and to establish better relationships with Northern Ireland's Catholic and nationalist community. He had this idea, very famous quote: "We share the same rivers, we share the same mountains, and some of the same problems as well too." He's very pragmatic. We need to make agreements here to actually move ahead for both sides. So in 1965, O'Neill makes the momentous decision to secretly invite the Irish Taoiseach, the Irish Prime Minister, Sean Lemass, a real key name. He invites Sean Lemass to Stormont, and Sean Lemass secretly agrees to. It had been 40 years since this last type of meeting had actually happened, and both leaders risked a lot by this meeting, but both also realised they had a lot to gain. Economically and politically, cooperation could create a lot of benefits. Now, these two guys, just to let you know as well too, O'Neill, an Orange man, okay, so he's an Orange man, he's a unionist, he's dyed in the wool, red, white and blue, okay, definitely is a unionist inside and out. Sean Lemass is, by all intents and purposes, very strongly nationalist, okay, he was in the 1916 Easter Rising, he was in the IRA as well too, so he's definitely green, white and orange, very much a nationalist. So these two figures meeting is a big step forward. Okay, so the problem. O'Neill was unsure about the reaction of his party. If he told them, look, we're going to meet with Sean Lemass, what is the reaction going to be? They could have mass demonstrations that could put the whole thing in jeopardy. So he just didn't tell them. He kept it secret, okay, even from his own cabinet. It's a very risky strategy because a lot of them wouldn't trust them after they found out about this. Okay, so this prevented any protest, but also deeply annoyed his cabinet, who began to mistrust him. Okay, so how did he make friends of Northern nationalists? Well, O'Neill visited the leader of Ireland's Catholics, Cardinal Conway, this man up here. It's a big step forward. He offered condolences on the death of the Pope, Pope John the 23rd. So offered condolences on behalf of the Northern Ireland government, on behalf of them. And he visited Catholic schools and hospitals. Schools would be the Mater in Belfast, and the hospital would be the Mater, and the school to have as an example would be Assumption Grammar School in Ballynahinch. Okay, all right. So those are your different examples, and he also promises those schools and hospitals money. He just doesn't visit and say, "Well, that's very good what you're doing." He also promises them money for the first time from government circles. Alright, so reactions to his political reforms. Okay, so unionists. Well, don't forget, they're not all against this here. A lot of moderate unionists definitely welcomed O'Neill's moves. They could see what he was doing. They could see how he wanted to modernise Northern Ireland economy and politics, and they also felt that, you know what, if we get nationalists on our side, if Catholics can actually buy into Northern Ireland state and see the benefits, they will not want to unite Ireland. So they felt that was definitely a way forward. Okay, Unionist voters also came out to support O'Neill. Remember, this election was after he went forward to this big meeting with Sean Lemass, and 38 out of the 52 seats went to O'Neill's OUP. So it seemed to be that the party faithful had actually come out and given the vote of confidence again. So everything seemed to be quite rosy in the garden. Okay. However, you have unionists who are against O'Neill as well too, and key of all these here is Ian Paisley. Ian Paisley, fundamentalist Protestant, very opposed to the Republic of Ireland, who feels that they're very much in hand of the Roman Catholic Church. So he starts his own church, the Free Presbyterian Church, and he was against O'Neill's reforms and was getting increasing Protestant support. So he gradually, like a snowball, rolls up support the more the reforms go on. His supporters had deep concerns about the influence of the Catholic Church in the Republic of Ireland, and they also had deep concerns about the Irish constitutional claim to all of Ireland, including Northern Ireland. Okay, Articles 2 and 3 of the Irish Constitution. Okay, so you've got moderate unionists, you have unionist voters. Nationalist Party actually welcomed O'Neill's reforms, no doubt about it. They even agreed to actually go into Stormont for the first time in a long number of years as the official opposition. So they're getting involved in Stormont itself. It's kind of recognising the Northern Ireland state. So it's a big move forward. Catholic leaders also welcomed these reforms as well too. Okay, so you obviously know that the Unionists, there's quite a lot of opposition from Ian Paisley. You have also opposition from members in the OUP as well too. A lot of them were very angry that he kept things secret. So you've got opposition from people like Brian Faulkner and William Craig. These are members of his own cabinet, and they oppose what he's doing and how he's gone about things. And as things go on, you also get a lot of nationalist frustration. Many nationalists welcomed the news, but were more cautious. They wanted to see action rather than words. And on top of this, a lot of unionist policies coming out, like Craigavon, like the Coleraine decision for the University of Ulster, appeared to go very much against allowing reforms for nationalists. So things started to go against O'Neill. Alright. So there is reasons for nationalist frustration. First of all, O'Neill raised the hopes for change, and quick change as well too. They thought things are going to change quickly, and on the ground this wasn't the case. Firstly, O'Neill may have been suggesting these ideas for reform as leader of the UP, but he needed the support of his party to deliver, and he had a divided party. Only some of them wanted change, many didn't. Unionist policies as well also, as I said, appeared to be non-inclusive to the Catholic community, and actually seemed to be as sectarian as ever. Coleraine and Craigavon being the key examples there. Okay, so the Unionist government named the first new city Craigavon. That was after the first Unionist Prime Minister, Lord Craigavon. Okay, and they also ignored advice put to them and put a university in the small Protestant town of Coleraine rather than Northern Ireland's second city, mostly Catholic, Derry, Londonderry. Higher employment as well. Remember we went through that in the west of Northern Ireland, and there was continued discrimination in government jobs. So things weren't looking too rosy for them. So I have given you this here, two different sides of the arguments here, mind map to actually make use of. Hopefully you do. Okay, and I've put lots and lots of links on the web, like in the history website, lots of quizzes, BBC Bite Size as well too. So try to go through those there and have a good look. Okay. Right, next we're going to look at Northern Ireland civil rights then. Okay, so that'll be the next video. Hope this is of use. Take care. Bye.